an investigation into how cinematography can be used to express melancholy. Storytelling is an art form that has been practiced and performed throughout history. It has been done through many different mediums, and due to the technical advances we have made, it has been possible to experience stories in different ways. Whether it be through novels, video games, plays, television, or films, storytelling still achieves the same goal: to provide a form of escapism. From Shakespeare's Othello to Disney's The Lion King, the audience are placed in a fictional world where they can experience the triumphs, downfalls, and conflicts of the main characters. The audience are either the unseen observers or put in the place of a character, depending on the medium the story is being viewed through. This escapism can allow the audience to experience catharsis, an emotional release and emotional purification. For example, a character suffering over a loved one's death will instill sadness and pity in the audience, thus making it cathartic for a viewer to cry. It also may be cathartic for a viewer to scream at a monster suddenly appearing on the screen. A good story in general should be able to convey emotions to the audience, as stories are designed to be a reflection of our emotional selves. An integral part of conveying emotions visually is through cinematography. According to Celso Di Mello and Anna Paver, the cinematography channel and illuminational channel reflect the point of interest's strongest emotional type and intensity. This video will explore how cinematography can be used to express the feeling of melancholy. Melancholy is a common and strong emotion in stories, often due to the consequential actions of some characters. This video will analyse how different aspects of cinematography such as lighting, camera angles, and composition convey this emotion. The camera is paramount for allowing the viewer to watch a story through a screen. Where the camera is placed is important for how the audience will view the story. The camera angle is also important in presenting how characters and locations are portrayed, and where the director wants the audience to focus their attention. The image size and the image angle decide how much of the subject and their surroundings the audience will see. Height, distance, and size are all contributing factors when it comes to how the camera angle will service the story. According to Joseph Maselli, stimulation of audience response can be best conveyed through the cameraman through direction of dramatic emphasis where desirable. In various media, it is conventional to utilise close-ups of the subject so that the actor's expression is seen clearly and the emotion is emphasised on screen. Because the close-up shot helps to overtly display the emotion being expressed, this will translate to the audience clearly. For example, Interstellar demonstrates this by using a close-up of the main character's face as he views the messages of his children. The actor's performance is the only place within the frame where the audience can focus their attention, and as the shot continues, the audience begin to sympathise with the character as his expression morphs into one of sorrow, thus expressing melancholy. This is a common technique in film and TV, and can be seen numerous times to instill sadness in the viewer. Exploring another aspect, in the 5 C's of cinematography, Maselli says there are 3 types of camera angles: objective, subjective, and point of view. These different angles determine how close the viewer can get to the action on screen. An objective shot allows the viewer to be an unseen observer of the action and an outsider to the story. However, subjective and point of view angles are more personal for the viewer, because these camera angles place them more closely to the action and even to the point where they are in the character's shoes. A subjective angle is an image that the character sees and that the audience can also see. Essentially, the audience have taken the place of the character for a moment, which allows the audience to intimately view what the character is experiencing. Point of view angles, however, are somewhere between an objective angle and a subjective angle. The audience are placed more closer to the action than they would be in an objective angle, yet they do not take the place of the character. Usually a camera angle is placed to the side of the character in an over-the-shoulder shot, so that the audience can still see the character's viewpoint without the angle being close enough to be a subjective angle. But how can these angles be used to help express melancholy? Not only do these angles give context to the viewer, but subjective and point of view angles can also be used to draw a stronger connection between the audience and character. This makes the audience empathise or even sympathise with the character and conveys the psychological mindset the character is in. Examples can be seen in HBO's Game of Thrones, The Haunting of Hill House, and numerous of others. A particular scene in Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2 uses a point of view and subjective angle when Harry witnesses Snape's death. These angles allow the audience to intimately watch Snape's dying moments alongside Harry, and also create a stronger emotional connection between the characters and the audience. As Harry, visibly distressed, experiences Snape's last moments, the viewer is instilled with sadness as they are left to helplessly watch. Furthermore, there are other angles that may be employed to express the feeling of melancholy. For example, high angles may be used to intensify the beaten down state of a character, so when a character goes through a downfall, this intensifies the defeated state of the character, causing the audience to sympathise with them. The boy in the striped pyjamas demonstrates this technique, as the mother and daughter are left to grieve their son's and brother's death. The high angle reinforces the bleak mood of the scene because it emphasises the character's agony and loss. Furthermore, Dutch angles, also known as canted angles, may also be used to add dramatic effect to the scene so that it heightens the emotional mindset that the character is going through. Slumdog Millionaire has Dutch angles placed throughout the film, and during the death of one of the main characters, a Dutch angle is used to intensify the saddening scene. The same technique is also used in Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2 again, when Snape finds Lily's body, which allows the audience to experience Snape's devastation with him. How a shot is lit can make a huge impact on a scene, and can influence the way we view the story unfolding in front of us. Indeed, the lighting helps the audience to view a picture with more clarity. However, light can also be manipulated to the director's advantage, so that the audience are feeling how the director wants them to feel. Joseph Di Gennaro, a director of photography, says that light is the chisel that sculpts the mood of any image on screen. And this implies how light can be a useful tool in cinematography to help display the emotions and mood of a scene. To understand how lighting can be manipulated to express the feeling of melancholy, the techniques must be explored. Some cinematographers take inspiration from lighting patterns in paintings, still photography, or nature. These inspirations will influence the director of photography, where to put a key light and how to angle it, and whether a fill light should be used, depending on the feel of a scene. Conventionally, in sad scenes, low-key lighting is used so that there is a high contrast of shadows and exposed areas, which usually adds drama to the scene. Some low-key lighting techniques can be inspired by painters such as Rembrandt and Georges de la Tour. Rembrandt lighting is a lighting style named after the Dutch painter who used low-key lighting in his portraits. Faces are usually half lit with one side covered in shadow and the other side lit brightly with a strong soft light source. This directional light source creates a high contrast ratio on the face, which also produces a triangular shadow below the eye on the darkly lit side. This can be used for dramatic effect on the screen and can intensify the mood of the scene. An example of this can be seen in Christopher Nolan's The Dark Knight Rises during a confrontation scene between Bruce and Alfred. The use of a large window with an overcast sky creating a soft frontal light source casts the right side of Bruce's face with light and the left side in shadow. This Rembrandt lighting heightens the somber mood because the shadows and darkness covering the protagonist's face reflect his inner turmoil and signifies the desolate state the character is in. As Alfred decides to leave Bruce for good, the audience are left with a feeling of melancholy, as Bruce is left to bear his burdens alone. The use of Rembrandt lighting helps to instill this sadness from the screen to the eyes of the viewer. Another painter some cinematographers take inspiration from is the French Baroque painter Georges de la Tour. His paintings often involve the use of chiaroscuro, the heavy use of high contrast between brightness and shadows. La Tour achieved this by using candlelight as a singular light source, which produced a high contrast ratio within the frame. An example of this can be seen in Peter Jackson's The Lovely Bones. A single candle is used to illuminate the character's face, creating a strong contrast. This lighting technique can also convey the psychological state the character is in to the audience. The grapple between the light and the darkness within the frame expresses the struggle the father is going through as he tries to cope with the loss of his daughter. This makes the audience sympathise with the character while feeling melancholy about his situation. The Latour-inspired lighting emphasises the emotion. However, even though low-key lighting is conventionally used in sad scenes, the scene is not conventional when expressing melancholy. Low-key candle lighting is usually associated with romantic scenes, such as when two characters are having dinner together or sharing a tender moment. The warm lighting expresses a compassionate mood, which is why this scene from The Lovely Bones is unconventional, as the lighting usually used to depict a romantic setting is used to express sadness instead. In relation to this, cinematographers also use the colour of lighting to their advantage in order to create a specific mood. According to David Landau, colours both affect and reflect mood. A blue room seems cold, a green room is more relaxed, a yellow room is more active, and grey is dull. Blue lighting is often used in films to express sadness because blue is associated with coldness and depression. Blue gels may be put in front of light sources to achieve this, with the help of colour grading to help intensify the look. This look can be seen in Francis Ford Coppola's One from the Heart and in other media. Composition is a useful tool in cinematography to help guide the eyes of the viewer to a particular point on the screen. The main rule is the rule of thirds. This involves the screen being split into two thirds, horizontally and vertically. At the intersections, objects are placed as to create a visually pleasing image. By placing the eyes at the point of intersection, the viewer is instantly drawn to the eyes of the subject. As Philip Bloom says, the eyes, as they say, are the windows to the soul, and they automatically draw our attention to them. This can be useful in films when showing a close-up of a character which allows their emotion to be overtly displayed on screen. For example, when the character has tears in their eyes, it is evident that melancholy is the emotion being expressed. This can be seen in Prisoners and the Fellowship of the Ring. Another technique used to help draw attention to a point on the screen is by using leading lines within the shot. In The Shawshank Redemption, leading lines can be seen in the bricklayers of the wall. These lines help to guide the viewer's eyes towards the 2 points of interest, Andy and Red. These lines also help draw the viewer's attention towards the isolation of Andy and Red. The leading lines help to visualize their confinement by focusing the viewer's eyes on the walls of the prison. These lines also highlight Andy's and Red's isolation by showing their separation of everybody in the yard. As a result, this can leave the viewer feeling melancholy at the protagonist's bleak situation of a potential perpetual wrongful imprisonment. Overall, the use of lighting, camera angles, and good composition can help enhance the viewer's experience. Low-key lighting can help achieve a downcast mood. This usually adds drama and seriousness to the scene. Subjective and point of view angles can help build a stronger relationship between the viewer and the character on screen, because the viewer is being placed closer to the action and can also be put in the shoes of the character. It is less effective to use objective camera angles, since it merely makes the viewer a spectator, whereas subjective and point of view angles can give the viewer the illusion of being a participant in the story. This makes the viewer sympathise with the characters and feel with them during moments of melancholy. Also, high angles and Dutch angles can be employed to intensify the character's beaten down and physical and psychological state during sad scenes. Finally, the following rules and techniques in composition can help emphasise and draw focus to points of interest. Leading lines can make the audience's eyes focus on a character within an image, making the character's thoughts and actions the centre of the audience's attention. A subject placed at an intersection on the rule of thirds grid can draw the audience's eyes to that subject. To demonstrate, the tearful eye of a character placed at an intersection on the grid can highlight the character's sorrowful expression, thus creating a feeling of melancholy.